I've made award-winning films for budgets from £200 to £10,000, and I want to give you guys some tips on what you can do to help your first short film or your 10th short film get over the line and get into festivals. Let's check it out. So we all know about the Robert Rodriguez El Mariachi Guerrilla Filmmakers Handbook, that style of filmmaking, finding what you have around you, like a location, an actor, some props, and writing a film around that. 100%. But what I'm going to say is, after you've done that, think about what element you can put all the resources to after you've made all that saving that will then elevate your film to another level. So for instance, my film Family Ties, I filmed it in local parks, and it was really able to have that outdoorsy feel. But the one thing we needed to help sell the entire film was the stunt of the dad falling off the cliff. And we had to do that for real. So the things that I pushed the boat out with was casting stunt performer as the actor. And I did that with Sophie and Francis. But the one thing he advised me was, we could do this for real, but we need to do it safely. So we had to get a rope safety experts. Yeah, I had to pay more budget towards them, but what it allowed was to make that convincing element of the film and to sell people that, whoa, this is for real. And that's what I mean by putting your resources in that one aspect. Now for you, it might mean paying for a certain location or paying for an actor to stay over at a hotel. But what it allows you is just to take it a little step further to help the film be elevated even further by having those extra production value. Okay, tip number 2. Don't try and make films by yourself all of the time. It's important to have those people that you can frequently collaborate with, because not only do they help you make the films, but they help you see other perspectives. Sometimes when we're as filmmakers, we're dreaming the ideas from our brain and thinking, yeah, I've got this idea, it's gonna be amazing, whatever. You sometimes get tunnel vision with that approach, and you're not able to see sometimes an obvious or glaring error. This is where having those collaborators, those people you work with, to give you feedback, to see if it actually withstands someone's critique or whatever. And I just think it makes for a better project in the end. The practical point is, when you're on set and you're trying to do everything yourself, it can become ridiculous, especially when you're doing narrative. Trying to record audio yourself, holding a boom pole whilst you're trying to focus and give actors directions. That's a lot to think about. But if you start to work with people around you that you have access to, your films will start to be better for it. Yes, it might mean you work with people who have no film experience and you are telling them how to do certain things. But trust me, even having someone hold your boom pole or be able to move that prop or hold that light, or having those people that just help you do that is really useful. And if you haven't got budget to work with crew, or you don't have access to other filmmakers that can help you, I say working with your friends is a really good way of doing it. I did this a few years back with a church project that we made as a little short film, and getting people with no experience to help you, trust me, yes, you have to manage your expectations about what they can do, but it is a much easier process than trying to do everything yourself. I'm thinking even lugging equipment, helping set up lightings, getting the actors in the film. Again, that just takes time. And to try and do that all by yourself, trust me, it becomes taxing after a while. And if you could start to frequent working with those people, you could start a little bit of a collective. Here, what we've done in Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire, we started the Staffordshire Film Collective, which is a few of my friends who have helped work on my films. You see some of them in the behind the scenes of these videos. What we've been all able to do is come together to make a collective. So I might have a lot of equipment, and obviously my experience as a director, I can advise and help on certain films. And then someone else is an art department, someone else is a sound recordist. All these other things, all these elements come together, and you're able to make more films more frequently in a more sustainable way, because it's not just about one person's films, it's about helping other people on their films. There's no such thing as a no budget film. Yes, I know people want to sell everyone on this idea that you can make a film for zero. It's impossible, because everything costs. Whether it's travel costs for your friend to travel to you, the film location, or you might have to buy a prop, or it's the stock images you're going to be putting in your film, or stock music, I should say, you're putting in your film, or even entering to film festivals. It all costs money. I find when you have no budget, you have people dropping out last minute, or you lose locations, because when you're entirely working off favors, these are the things you can't predict. Where sometimes if you have a little bit of budget, you can start to go, hey, this actor or this location that I paid for, I definitely have it. It's not going to drop out on the night before. If you set that expectations for yourself at the beginning of a project, you work out how much you want to spend on shoot, for your actors, your locations, maybe your crew, but then in post-production, how much you're going to spend on music or maybe VFX, and then to spend to festivals. You set that budget out at the beginning of a project, I promise you it's going to take a lot of the pressure off, because you can just be honest and open about what you have. And the other thing about, we think about what costs, it's just the reality of life. Some people, might want to help you in the film, but they just can't afford to work on it for free at that particular time. This is where having that kind of budget allocation will help for you. Being honest and open with your cast, your crew, any potential people you're getting locations from, just tell them this is how much I have, for this part of the project. When you're open and honest and you allow the person that you're trying to ask to work in your project or be a part of the project, when you allow them to make the decision, you're giving them ownership of it. You're setting their expectations from the beginning of the project. And if it's like a no, I can't work on it because there's no budget and I need to be paid, that's perfectly fine. Don't take offense on it. You're gonna hear a lot of no's, but at least you have your integrity, because when you have your integrity and you're honest, people respect that. Feed your crew. Feed them well. Give them great food. Let them enjoy it. If people have come and spent their time on your film, they're working for expenses or for free, expenses at the very least you should be paying. Please feed them. Have a good set lunch break or dinner break, whatever it is, and you feed them well. Maybe you cater her in. I'm lucky. My wife's an amazing cook, and my crew eats well on my shoots. They always say they do. And that's something I'm proud about doing, because they've helped me out. So I want to give them at least a good bit of food. Don't go over 12-hour days. And I know we've all been in the short film that's 18 hours long and it's gone over and you're getting a 10th take. Yeah, I get it. They're only there once and this is the opportunity, the crew's there. If you do that too many times, it will wear your crew out and they'll start to be wary of working with you. I find 10 to 12-hour days, I feel, is a nice sweet spot, because you're respecting the crew's time. And I feel that is the most important thing that you do, because again, people are donating their time for you. So why not just make it easier for them to enjoy that time? Respect your crew, feed them well. If you want to go to film festivals, hit that 10 to 13 minute length. Don't really go beyond that if you want your film to have a really healthy festival run. But if you hit that 10 to 12 minute length, you're going to do a lot better, because programmers are just trying to get as many films into the festival, to get more people in, to get more of that crew in to help fill their festival. And if you're making a 30-minute short, again, that's like 4 films that they can have to get out of their program to fit your film in. So you're up against it, really, even if you're making the most incredible film out there. You don't want to go longer than 18 months without shooting making a short film. My biggest regret of my entire career was the gap I had between Diembe and Family Ties. I made Diembe in 2015, thought, oh, my life is going to change. Loads of people are going to just call me after that. I was going to get loads of directing gigs. It's the best film I've ever made, my magnum opus. Didn't happen. And I lost confidence a little bit, and I focused on other things for a bit. And then it took me 6 years again later, when I made Family Ties in 2021, for me to finally make another film. And even though my job was I made commercials and documentaries and brand films, some with narrative elements, it's not the same as making a narrative film. Don't let anyone tell you that you making tons of corporate films or tons of commercials is just as good as making a short film in terms of your practice of filmmaking. It's not. It makes you better at doing those things, but not at telling a short film. And I found myself, when I made Family Ties, there was a lot of things that I did in Diembe that I didn't do in Family Ties, and I was a bit demoralized at it. But it's because I was out of practice. I hadn't made a short film for years. So what I'm telling you guys is, try and make a short film every 18 months at the most. Even if it's a practice film and not the film that you're like, oh, I want this to illustrate me as a filmmaker, it's fine. You'll get there. It's just about the repetition there. Please don't chase trends. I know you can see Dune and you're like, oh, I want to make a sci-fi just like Dune, or I want to make the latest horror film. I want to make a film just like that. Yes, I get it. It's tempting. But I find when people chase trends, they're really not establishing who they are as a filmmaker. As a director, they want to see what's unique about you. They want to see what makes you tick, how you see the world. And by establishing your own voice, and by I say your own voice, I mean your own style, the aesthetic, the stories that really appeal to you, that sing to your heart, the films that really, and the type of films that really are the films you want to see. You make that, and you are consistent with it, I promise you, things will work out for you much better than if you chase the trend because you saw this film, you wanted to do like that, or this type of film is really popular. Yes, that might work for commercials, but I'm telling you, for narratives, you need to just have your own voice. That doesn't mean how you make films doesn't evolve and develop over time, but really establish what you want to say and what you want to do. That's what sells you as a filmmaker. Treatments are an integral part of filmmaking. It's a visual document that's really a reference for the entire film. You know, some people like to call it a Bible. I don't like to call it that because I'm a Christian. But the point is that it's a reference for people to constantly look at for you and what your vision for the film is. And what that does is allow you to communicate your vision to other filmmakers, crew, potential funders. But if you're making that, it also refines your vision for the film. I don't make films, my personal films, without making treatments, because spending that time getting my visual ideas down, getting my thoughts down, communicating what the synopsis is, what the plot outline is, what my references are, why I want to make the film, where I'm going to make the film. It starts to make it much more tangible as opposed to, oh yeah, I just want to make it because it's fun and my script is good. It starts to help visualize it. And the other thing is, it's selling you. It's selling you. Using concept art, which, you know, Midjourney and other AI tools is brilliant for that now. But then also using reference images just allows you to populate that document with so much of the vision in your head. Because again, this film has been in your head for years. You've dreamt about this, and now you're able to communicate it. And now you're communicating it. You're starting to refine what you want from it. But then also, the thing is, when people see that document, that's when they're more likely to come on board to a project. This is such a powerful thing. Then you could use those materials again for like a crowdfunding campaign or press materials or EPK. All those stuff helps communicate the film. If you want to make it even longer treatment, put your storyboard in there and your script alongside it. Brilliant. And then you're really communicating so everyone knows what this film's meant to be. Everyone knows what it's meant to be about, and they're all on board. That, for me, as a filmmaker, I can't go without. And finally, this is the most important thing by far. Make sure your script is right. What's your protagonist? What's their journey? What is their goals? What's the antagonistic force that's coming up against them that they have to overcome to then get to that goal? And at the end of the film, how have they changed from the beginning of the film? All that's important. Understanding these script elements is such important. Now, I could go into a long lecture about script writing and story structure, but I'm not gonna. What I'm gonna say is start to establish those beats. What makes your character interesting and unique in the world? What's that conflict? And how do they overcome it? These are key elements that we need to understand before we're going into any production. Because you can't, how do I say this? You can't polish a turd. If it's not right at the script stage, or at least the basics of the story isn't right, it's not gonna work as a film. For me, writing is the longest part of filmmaking. That's the bit that has to take the most time. The more time you're spending writing, I promise you, the better it will be. And one final tip, please, the first draft of everything is crap. No doubt about it. I like to send my things out for feedback on the third draft. That first draft is just to kind of get it all on a script. The second draft is to refine that and make sure it's good. And then I take some break from it. Then I come back and do a third draft, and I tighten up as much as I can, and then I send it out. And when I say tighten up, spelling mistakes, etc., etc. So script is the most important thing. And I know I said final point. After your film is done, that is literally just the beginning of the film. Films have a lifespan for years if your film is good. If your film is good and your story resonates with people, 10, 15 years later after you've made it, people will still want to see it. And that's a sign of a great film. For me, I still get asked about Diembe 10 years later because sadly it's still very relevant with where we are with immigration and racism and things like that. It's still relevant. So people ask about it now. And again, I wasn't chasing a trend. I was telling a story that spoke to me and spoke from my experiences. And that's what makes films truthful, and that's what makes art art. Now, this video has gone on for way too long, but I hope this has really helped you guys get some steps to help you get ready as filmmakers. Thank you everyone for watching, and remember to get out there and stay shooting.